How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'm going to be doing something slightly different. I'm going to highlight my favorite and what I believe is the best technical pattern to trade stocks and options. And for everybody who's been watching my videos up to this point, you know that Tesla is my favorite stock to trade, and the pattern that I like to trade the most on it is the pennant or the flag pattern. It's not every single day that Tesla puts in a very clean flag pattern, but today, May 24th, it had two awesome setups, and I want to go over those. And then, like I've mentioned in my prior videos, I always mark prior day's high, prior day's low, pre-market high, and pre-market low. The ideal setup is if those patterns can get created just above those levels if going to the downside, and just below them if going to the upside. But we all know the stock market is not perfect. So if it looks good, I have no problem taking it, and then I try my best to have it go quick or just get out. And now let's get into the technicals, starting with the daily chart first. So Tesla's been a little beat up, had a sell-off. It's been consolidating right around the 200 SMA. I marked all those levels I mentioned before: prior day's high, prior day's low, pre-market high, and pre-market low. I have no idea which way this is going to go. Nobody does. So what I really like to do is wait for some sort of trend if it can happen, and then I try to scalp trend. And then, being that I'm a scalper, that thing that I look for is a nice flag pattern, which allows me to get hopefully a good entry and then a quick move and take profits fast. So off the open, Tesla sold off a little bit, cleared prior day's low. It did look weak, but it found some support right around 575. Buyers stepped in. It got back above VWAP, the short-term moving averages. And here's where the first pennant or flag pattern got created. The reason why I don't think this is A+ is because the consolidation after the fact is not that tight. So put in a big green 1-minute candle, and it almost gave that entire move back. So for myself, the reason why this is not A+ is because what I like to see is this big move to happen and then go a little bit more sideways, not so far down, but it still ended up consolidating. So just when it looked like it was going to be weak, it reclaimed VWAP, even though it's not super clean. And then once it breaks this 581, 582 area, trying to get a good entry, anticipating that high day break. And then obviously once it starts to speed up, I'm taking profits. Okay, so that was an example of an all right flag pattern. The next two are really good in my opinion, and here's why. So here's the second flag. The reason why I like this is because it took out pre-market high, so it took out a technical level, and it consolidated just above it, and it held the short-term moving averages. And the reason why this one is really good is because when it pulled back, it only pulled back a little bit, showing that buyers are clearly in control. Had about 8 minutes of consolidation, and then when it reclaimed the 9 EMA, buyers stepped in. The high of that flag was 589.68. I always try to anticipate the break just a little bit, and then it breaks right away. And Tesla is fantastic because when it moves, it goes very fast and it goes points. So it clears the high and then instantly pops about 2 or 3 points. And because I'm super impatient, when I get that quick move, I take it. And here's the third flag. That's another great setup. And once again, the reason why I like this is because some time went by. So it's not just some really quick pattern. There's about 10 to 12 minutes of consolidation here, and it held above the short-term moving averages. So had a nice push, pulled back to the averages, held them, and it's above VWAP. The technical level above is prior day's high. The high of the actual flag itself was 594.14. Tesla starts to get really tight, and then right here on this candle, breaks the trend line. And I'm always trying to do a better job at get slightly more aggressive entries. So maybe right around 593, I want it to go pretty quick or just get out. It ends up taking out the high. And even though that doesn't look like a huge move, that's almost 2 points. And that's usually where I just take profits. And this is where patience can pay. I do not have much, but this just goes to show that sometimes hanging on to it a little bit longer can always be a good thing. Naturally, I'm just a scalper and I consistently take the quick move, but knowing that in between those technical levels, sometimes it can get there. So once it does break this flag, consolidates for a little bit more, still above the 9 EMA, and then eventually takes out prior day's high and almost gets to 600. So this is a great example of when that flag pattern can form underneath the technical level. Sometimes it can get there and the moves can be pretty big. And we all know that when Tesla really gets going, it's not uncommon to potentially be able to catch 5, 10, or even 15-point moves. But to be honest, I never catch those kind of moves. I've just gotten to the point where I accept that when I get a quick 1, 2, 3 points, I take it. So those are some examples of my favorite stock chart pattern to trade, and especially on Tesla. And here's the bonus part of the video. So my good friend Alex from the YouTube channel Be The Story, he puts out great content. We did an interview a couple months back talking about how I took my account from $3,000 to over $100,000 in 18 months. I'll make sure to tag that video above, so feel free to check it out. He did a trade recap just highlighting his style and how he likes to trade. So I'd like for everyone to check that out.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex from Be the Trader, or also known as Be the Story. And first off, thank you, Matt, for the opportunity to share these two trades that I did on Friday, May 22nd with your viewers. We're going to be going over a long trade and a short trade on NIO and YALA. Let's get started. So let's look at NIO. NIO on the monthly doesn't look too hot. The weekly still looks like it's just dying, and the daily. And this is why I was interested on the short side. But more importantly, doesn't mean I'm just going to short it anywhere randomly. I'm looking for key areas. So I start to zoom in on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and I noticed something right off the bat. We have a trend line that we finally broke to the upside. And you can see that pretty clearly right here. We actually broke it and we held this area. So this made me kind of wary that maybe, I don't know if this is really just a pure short. But then I also noticed that we had resistance here. And then we also have another nice little trend right in this area. And this is more to the long side as well. So all of these things I'm factoring in. And this is what I saw pre-market, that, this could be a short, this could be a long. I'm not quite sure. And so when this starts to happen, I start to zoom in further because I want to see what is happening right this second. When we go further into like the 5 minute, you'll see that right here, pre-market, we start to hit that resistance and we start to break down at the open this temporarily trend. And so when that happened and we broke, I was short biased because temporarily we are on the short side. And when that happened, I was looking to get in short. However, I did not get in at the open because I missed this because I went long on another stock right at the open. And we'll be reviewing that stock next. And by the way, you'll be able to see the executions here. And you'll also be able to see my live trades here as well, because I trade live pretty much every day. And you'll see these trades and the executions happen live. Like, you get to see it. I share everything because I'm all about changing the trading community for the better, to inspire you to help others when you find your consistency, or just help others who are just maybe at the beginning of their journey and you're further along. When this panicked, I wanted to get in, but I didn't want to chase because chasing never ends well for me. So I had an order at 34.60, which got executed. And then an order right here at this line at 34.75 actually. So right below it. I got half size because I just wasn't quite sure. And when we had this panic, I covered a third. And then when we had this pop, this is the moment where I covered. And I don't really like this cover because the big picture on this is still on my side. We're still short, right? The only thing I got in my head was that we broke high day, failed, and then we're going to break high day again. That doesn't look good to me. So I ended up cutting it, but I said when I was trading live that I would easily jump back in, which I did. So whenever we broke it by just a penny and then failed and popped on this red candle, we actually opened higher. You can see on the candle here, we opened up here. I got in half size right away. And then when we failed and then popped again, I got in full size, bigger than this first position, and then covered on the way down. The reason I was careful in my covering is because this stock on the big picture is also showing bullish signs. You see this here. If we zoom out again, you can see it's still holding. So that made me cautious. Doesn't mean I'm not going to short it. It just means I got to be careful when I'm covering. And that's why this trade ended up panning out. Ended up covering for a nice little gainer. And at the end of the day, I'm happy with this trade because you should always judge yourself on how you execute it and what you can do to improve. And what I can do to improve on this trade is making sure that I don't get emotional. And it happens all the time. It's just normal. And all I can say is it doesn't happen as often as it used to happen. But when I have conflicting biases, like a long, a short, I'm okay being a little bit more careful. And I talk about this live when I was trading, and I talk about how I'm okay cutting it and getting right back in if it shows me that it's going to hold this resistance. So as long as you have a plan and you stick to that plan, then everything should be okay, because that's how you should judge yourself, on how you execute your plan, not how the results, not how it all pans out and shows you, oh, I'm up or I'm down. Because if you get wrapped up in that, then you'll never find consistency, because you'll always be focused on trying to make money. And when you focus on making money, at least for me, you lose a lot of money. So let's go over Yala. Yala was very similar chart, and the daily, the weekly looks pretty crappy, right? But look at this chart. We're breaking to the upside, and we have a support area right here and right here. You see that resistance? And then we break. So this one I wasn't shorting though, because in fact, I longed it right here at 17. And you can see that here on the chart. I saw this downtrend break into the upside. I saw this support. I wasn't just buying it because it just broke to the upside. Keep in mind, I'm looking for confluence, multiple things lining up, which we had here. And there wasn't a really great indication of the short side. So when we had this drop to 17 and popped up to 18, I went long at 17 and I probably sold too soon, but it's okay. I think one thing with trading that you'll learn, you'll never execute perfectly where you get the top and you nail the bottom, because if you always worry about that, you're never going to be happy as a trader. At least for me, I was never happy as a trader. I was always like, I could have done better. I could have lost less. I could have broke even. I could have made more. And that coulda, woulda, shoulda game, it drive me insane, at least, where I was never happy. And I love trading, and trading makes me happy. And how trading makes me happy is I'm passionate about it, and I'm passionate about executing well and sticking to a plan. And when I start to focus on that, that's how I start to become consistent. Not when I was always worried about, can I get the best entry, the best exit, and the best, because it's impossible to always nail a trade, but it's not impossible to trade well. So think about that. And thank you again, Matt, for giving me the opportunity to showcase this quick 2 trades. And I appreciate you so much. And everyone, you're following a great person who shares as much as he can for you and to help you all. But if you get a moment, check out my channel, Be the Story, or AKA Be the Trader on YouTube. I provide as much content as I can, because my mission is to change the trading community for the better, to inspire you to give back, to inspire you to help others when you're doing well. So thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you for watching the video, everyone. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.